Welcome to the Cozy Storytime, your peaceful space to unwind and relax. Before we start, make sure to subscribe and like the video for more cozy stories every night. So, where are you watching it from? And what are you doing right now? I hope you enjoyed this story. Tonight, we're stepping into a quiet corner of the wizarding world, where magic flickers softly like candlelight, and time seems to slow to the rhythm of breath. You don't need to move. Just rest where you are. Let the weight of the day ease from your shoulders, like falling leaves from autumn trees. The wind is calm tonight. The stars hang low, and the fire crackles somewhere in the distance. Close your eyes if you wish, or simply let your gaze soften. Let the hush of the night take over as we begin a tale filled with mystery, soft wonder, and the quiet courage of being seen. In this story, you are the center. You are not a bystander, but a part of something ancient and gentle. Something that finds you in the quiet hours and whispers, "Yes, you belong here." This tale takes place at Hogwarts, but not the one of clanging halls and booming voices. No, this Hogwarts lives in moonlight and fog, in the pages of forgotten books, in the echo of names almost lost to time. Let's begin this journey together. Breathe in and let go. The fire is warm, the magic is waiting, and the goblet is about to speak. You stand among a sea of candlelight, the floating flames above your head like a silent constellation suspended in the enchanted ceiling of the great hall. The room smells of roasted pumpkin, old parchment, and a hint of cinnamon sugar drifting from a forgotten dessert. Autumn has seeped into the stones, and with it, a hush of expectation. The Goblet of Fire glows at the front of the hall, its blue flames flickering like something half alive, casting shadows that crawl and flicker across the enchanted banners of the 3 visiting schools. Your breath fogs slightly in the cool air as you watch the flames dance, almost hypnotized by their rhythm. The way they lean toward you, as though whispering your name in a language older than memory. Somewhere beside you, Callan is shifting nervously, his robes rustling like dry leaves in the quiet. A murmur rises as the flames pulse brighter. Professor McGonagall stands with arms folded, stern but solemn, while Dumbledore watches, his eyes reflecting firelight like twin sapphires. Everyone is waiting for the names. You feel a shiver not from cold, but from something ancient brushing against your skin. An echo, maybe, of something that's already happened or hasn't yet begun. A hush falls as a slip of parchment is thrown from the goblet, spinning lazily like a falling feather. Gasps follow it as it floats down toward the waiting hands of Dumbledore. But before it can reach him, before even the parchment has time to show a name, something strange happens. A second slip shoots upward from the fire, bright with unnatural light, and lands softly, silent as a snowflake, by your foot. Your body freezes. Around you, voices rise again, confused, unaware. You lower your gaze. The slip is glowing faintly, the ink still wet. A single name appears, shivering into existence. Yours. Your real name, written not with ink, but with something almost like moonlight. No one sees it. You reach down, fingers trembling, but before you can grasp it, the parchment combusts. Fire curls around the edges and consumes it whole, vanishing to ash before anyone notices. You look up. The goblet is calm again, as though nothing has happened. Dumbledore lifts the original parchment, reading out the first official name. The hall erupts with cheers, and no one suspects anything. No one but you. Callan tugs at your sleeve, whispering something, but it's distant, muffled by the sound of blood rushing in your ears. You can still see the after-image of your name in your mind, burning not from flame, but from something deeper. You blink and look around. No one is watching you. No one saw what you saw. And yet something has shifted. You feel it in the way the torches flicker, in the faint crackle of old magic brushing against your skin. Liz is leaning against the far wall, arms folded, gaze fixed on the goblet. When your eyes meet, something passes between you. Recognition, or maybe warning. She doesn't say a word. She never needs to. The night continues. More names are read, and the champions step forward, bathed in admiration and applause. But you're not watching them. You're watching the fire, now calm and ordinary, and wondering what part of you was chosen, what part of you it tried to claim. When you leave the great hall, you feel the corridor's chill crawl up your spine, and the echo of blue fire dances behind your eyes. Your name was called, but no one remembers. Not even the goblet, but it burned, and that burn is real. Outside, the wind carries the scent of dying leaves and rain. You hear laughter from the common rooms, the low murmur of excitement and gossip. But as you pass a window and see the moonlight glinting off the towers of Durmstrang's ship in the lake, you wonder if the champions truly know what waits for them. You wonder what waits for you. Behind you, Callan's footsteps hurry to catch up, but he says nothing. His presence is comforting, like a candle in a distant room. You both know something changed. Neither of you knows what it means. Yet, when you finally reach your dormitory and lie in bed, the world seems too still. The silence feels full, like a breath held by the castle itself. You close your eyes, but you see the parchment again. Your name, the flame, the impossible choice. You don't remember falling asleep, only the last sensation of firelight against your eyelids and a whisper. Not a word, just the shape of your name, echoing in your chest like a secret no one else can carry. The castle breathes differently now, as if the ancient stones, warmed by centuries of footfalls and whispering charms, have grown aware of you in a new way. The air itself carries a heaviness, not oppressive, but weighted, like mist thick with memory. Your footsteps echo longer in the corridors, and the portraits turn their eyes more slowly, lingering on you with expressions half curious, half concerned. A silence hovers around you, even in rooms filled with conversation, like the world is listening for something only you might say. The flickering torches on the walls seem to dim when you pass, or maybe it's just the way your eyes play tricks now, searching constantly for signs that you're not imagining everything. You aren't sure anymore. Hogwarts feels both familiar and foreign, as if you're walking through a painting of a place you used to know, only slightly smeared at the edges. Liz finds you in the library, as she always does. She's seated at the far end, tucked into the alcove behind the restricted section, legs curled beneath her, surrounded by books older than any student here. She doesn't call your name. She just looks up, meets your eyes, and with a nod, acknowledges that she knows. You sit across from her without a word. The chair creaks beneath your weight, and the table smells of wax, old ink, and the faintest trace of something metallic. Lise slides a book toward you. The title is in a language you don't recognize. The letters carved deep into dark leather. There's no dust on it, but it feels untouched. It mentioned a name being taken by fire once. She murmurs, fingers tracing a diagram that looks vaguely like the goblet. The magic is older than the tournament, older than the castle. Sometimes it doesn't choose a person. Sometimes it remembers one. Callan arrives in a flurry of robes and nervous energy, his voice a breath too loud for the hush of the library. "I swear Filch is following me," he says, pulling a chair closer. He gives a quick smile, but it falters when he sees your face. "It's still bothering you, isn't it? The parchment thing, Ter." You nod, slowly. There's no point pretending otherwise. "I've been having dreams," he adds after a pause. "Not nightmares, just weird things. I saw a mirror that showed someone who wasn't me, but he had my wand. It wasn't broken." He unwraps a cloth from his pocket and reveals his wand, cracked at the core. A thin splinter of wood barely holding it together. He never uses it unless he has to. It's a reminder. A wound he carries with a clumsy kind of pride. You say nothing, because your own dreams have begun to shift too. They're quiet dreams, steeped in blue light, with doors that don't open and names spoken backwards. Once, you saw the goblet again, in a dream, but it was submerged in water, flames burning calmly beneath the surface, like something breathing upside down. Liz hasn't shared what she dreams, but sometimes her eyes are rimmed in grey the next morning, and she reads books that don't exist in the library's index. Tonight, as the bell tolls softly in the distance, the three of you huddle in that alcove like children hiding from a storm you can't see. Later, in the corridors, you walk alone. The silence here is different than in the library. It moves with you, like a shadow that walks just behind your thoughts. You pass through arches that feel narrower than they should, staircases that hesitate before shifting beneath your feet. The castle does that, changes and adjusts, like it's alive. But tonight, it feels less like magic and more like intention. As if the building itself is watching, waiting to see what you'll do next. You stop near a tapestry of a centaur reading the stars. And for a moment, the stars above his head seem to shimmer faintly, like real constellations. The centaur lowers his book and looks directly at you. You blink, and the tapestry is still again. A rustle behind you makes you turn. Nothing. Only the corridor stretching into soft shadows. But something lingers. A scent, faint and almost sweet, like lavender and burnt parchment. You remember that smell. It's what the parchment carried just before it vanished in flames. You reach out and touch the wall. It's warm. The warmth pulses slowly, like a heartbeat. When you pull your hand away, your fingertips glow faintly for a moment, then fade. You want to tell someone. You want to tell them. But even as you walk quickly back toward the common room, the words dry up in your mouth. Some secrets are like spells. Once spoken, they bind. Callan is waiting just inside the common room, curled up in one of the armchairs, a blanket around his shoulders, and a cup of tea steaming gently in his hands. "I didn't want to sleep," he says softly, eyes wide. It's quiet. Too quiet, you know. You sit across from him. The fire crackles between you, but it doesn't warm you. Do you think the goblet made a mistake? He asks. You shake your head. You're not sure it can make mistakes. Then it meant to call you. His voice is even smaller now. But why would it take it back? That's the question. Why call your name? Only to burn it before anyone else could see? Why stir that kind of magic and then silence it so completely? Liz joins you not long after, dragging a chair over with an expression that says she's read something and isn't sure she likes what it implies. There's a story, she begins, eyes on the flames. From before the Truicid tournament had rules. Before the goblet was even a goblet. It was something else. An altar. It didn't choose champions. It chose sacrifices. Names weren't drawn. They were consumed. She glances at you. And sometimes it didn't ask for them. None of you speak after that. The fire dies lower, casting long shadows on the floor. And outside, the wind picks up again, howling faintly past the stained glass windows. Something is shifting beneath the surface of your world, quietly, deliberately. And though you don't know the shape of it yet, you feel the weight of it settling in the air, in your bones, in the way the castle seems to breathe around you. The silence in the corridors is no longer silence. It's waiting. And now, so are you. The morning arrives slowly, wrapped in silver mist that clings to the castle like breath on glass. You wake before the others, not from noise, but from the absence of it. A kind of quiet that presses in, like wool soaked in water. Outside your window, the lake stretches like a pane of obsidian, unbroken and vast, with the ghostly outlines of Durmstrang's ship floating in the distance like a slumbering sea creature. The fog curls low across the grounds, hiding the forbidden forest's edges and softening even the sharp spires of Hogwarts. The light is pearlescent, neither dawn nor day, and everything feels suspended, like the world is holding its breath again. You dress in silence, your fingertips brushing cold cloth and stiff wool. The scent of stone and rain lingers in the dormitory air, mixing with the faint smell of burnt candle wax and damp parchment. You step through the castle, the hall still empty, your footsteps swallowed by thick stone. The portraits you pass are asleep, their painted breaths slow and soft, their eyes closed in dreams of other centuries. As you reach the front steps, the doors groan quietly open with a reluctant creak, as though they too are unsure you should go. But the lake calls, and you follow. The grass is wet and soft beneath your shoes, the chill curling around your ankles like curious hands. The scent of the lake is sharper now, touched with something metallic and faintly floral, as if someone had poured perfume into the depths. Your breath fogs before you in the cold air, and the world around you seems made of silence and smoke. At the water's edge, you pause. The lake reflects nothing, not the trees, not the sky, not even you. It is a mirror without memory. You crouch, reaching toward it, but stop short of touching. The surface shivers suddenly, not from your presence, but from something beneath. A ripple, a pulse. You freeze. A shape begins to form in the mist, drifting just above the water. Slowly, impossibly, a figure takes shape. It stands just beyond the veil of fog, mirroring your stance exactly. Your shoulders, your tilt of head, your hesitant hand. But it isn't you. Not quite. Its robes are slightly darker. Its expression unreadable. And then it lifts a hand, not in greeting but in warning. You stumble back, the damp earth giving slightly beneath your feet. The figure doesn't move. It simply watches. There's a terrible stillness in it. The kind that belongs to dreams that feel too real, or memories that were never yours. Then, without sound, the figure turns and walks into the lake. It doesn't splash. It doesn't sink. It just dissolves into the water like ink. The mist closes behind it, and you're left alone again, with only the sound of your own breath and the faint whisper of the wind brushing the reeds. When you finally turn away, the image is already fading from your mind like water slipping through your fingers. But the feeling remains, heavy in your chest, as if your name had been spoken somewhere deep beneath the lake and is still echoing below the surface. You find Callan in the greenhouse later that morning, huddled over a pot of moonseed that refuses to bloom. He looks up when you enter, his face pale, eyes wide. "You went to the lake, didn't you?" he asks, not as a question, but a confirmation. You nod. "I saw it too, or something like it." He fiddles with a dried petal, fingers trembling slightly. "Only mine was in a mirror. I was brushing my teeth and..." I turned away about for a second, then looked back, and it wasn't me in the mirror anymore. It was someone else, someone with my face. But he smiled like he knew something I didn't. You sit there beside him, the scent of soil and mint heavy in the air, and he adds, "It was the same smile I had in that dream, the one with the unbroken wand." Later, you meet Luce beneath the Quidditch stands. The air there smells of old wood, chalk, and a bit of oil from the brooms. She stands with her arms crossed, facing the pitch, but not watching it. "It started," she says, without turning. "The second task. They'll announce it soon, but I think yours has already begun." You ask her what she means, and she finally looks at you, eyes sharp and full of something old. You're being watched, not by the professors, not even by the other schools. Something else. I've been tracing it through the castle, wards that shimmer differently when you pass, pages in books that only show writing when you touch them. This isn't about the tournament anymore. It's about the name that was written and then erased. It's about something that wants to be remembered. As night falls again, the fog remains. It doesn't lift. Not entirely. It hangs low over the black lake and the castle grounds, clinging to stone and ivy, pooling in corners like breath held too long. You sit by the window, watching the Durmstrang ship rock gently in the dark, its lanterns glowing like distant stars. You can almost imagine they pulse in rhythm with something beneath the lake's surface. Behind you, Callan hums to himself quietly, a lullaby without lyrics. His eyes closed, clutching his wand close despite its break. Liz sits cross-legged on the floor, paging through an atlas of magical boundaries, her lips moving silently as she reads. None of you speak. The silence is no longer oppressive. It is protective, like the pause before a spell is cast. Before you sleep, you dream. The lake again, only now the water is gone. The bottom is exposed. Cracked earth and bones of boats, old robes tangled in reeds. In the center, a stone pedestal with the goblet burning, not blue, but silver, cold and bright. Around it, 12 figures cloaked in shadow, faceless but familiar. One steps forward and drops something into the fire. It's parchment. It's burning. You try to call out, but no sound escapes you. The fire turns white. The light fills your eyes, and you wake with a gasp, the dream fading fast, but the scent of lavender and ash still clinging to your sheets. Something has been set in motion, and there's no turning back now. The goblet called, then silenced itself, but the echo remains. And somewhere beneath the mist, beneath the lake, beneath the skin of reality, your name is still burning. Night folds over Hogwarts like a velvet shawl, thick and indigo, stitched with stars that blink slowly, as if they too are half asleep. You find yourself unable to rest. The common room has emptied, and even Callan, who stayed up scribbling something into his worn journal, finally nodded off. A blanket slipped over his knees, mouth slightly open in a quiet snore. Liz left earlier with only a nod, her book tucked under one arm, her expression unreadable. You're left alone with the fire, which crackles softly, its embers glowing like sleepy eyes. But you feel drawn to something. Not the lake this time, nor the corridors that shift their bones at night, but to the library. The idea lands in your thoughts like dew, soft, silent, and somehow inevitable. So you rise, wrapping yourself in your cloak, and step into the stillness of the sleeping castle. The path to the library feels longer at night. The castle's heartbeat slows. Its staircase is quiet, its portraits snoring or murmuring in their sleep. You pass a window where moonlight spills in thick as cream, illuminating a dust-mote ballet. The library door opens without protest, as though it's been waiting. Inside, the scent greets you like an old friend. Parchment and wood polish, leather and something faintly sweet. Perhaps old ink or enchanted violets. The torches remain unlit, but the moonlight through the tall windows casts enough silver to guide your steps. You head to the corner Lise favors, past the shelves that always seem to hum when you pass them. You don't know what you're looking for until your hand stops, unbidden, at a thin, spine-cracked volume with no title. The cover is unremarkable, smooth, dark brown leather, but it hums under your fingers, faint as breath. When you open it, the pages are blank, at first, but then the light shifts. The moon, slipping through cloud, suddenly pours full through the glass, bathing the book in its glow, and there, slowly appearing like frost across a window pane, the ink begins to emerge. Words in spidery handwriting coil into form. You watch, breath held, as a passage reveals itself. The goblet remembers not who is worthy, but who is forgotten, the erased, the undone. Its fire is older than fate. Your pulse stutters. You flip the page. More ink blooms. A diagram of the goblet, but not as it is now. It's rougher, more ancient, carved from stone, not wood and metal. Flames burst from it, not upward, but inward, like the fire was a mouth swallowing names, not speaking them. Along the margins, annotations appear in hurried scrawl. Some names were not offered, but found, taken from where time had missed them. Not dead, not born, lost. A chill brushes your neck. You can almost feel the fire on your skin again, though the room is cold. You reach for your wand and whisper Lumos, but the light flickers violently and dies. The book darkens again as clouds reclaim the moonlight. You turn another page, desperate now, and a name stares back at you. A name you almost recognize. It isn't yours, but it feels like yours. The letters shift as you read them, rearranging with every blink. You slam the book shut, your breath loud in the empty library, and feel the thud of your heartbeat in your throat. From somewhere in the shadows, there's a soft creak, like a footstep on ancient wood. You freeze. Who's there? Your voice is barely above a whisper. No answer. But the silence is no longer empty. It hums. You gather the book, cradling it close, and slip through the aisles, heart pounding. Outside the library, the castle feels sharper somehow. The moonlight, no longer gentle, casts long, blade-like shadows that stretch across the flagstones. You walk quickly now, the book hidden under your cloak. You don't hear anyone behind you, but the weight of being watched presses against your spine. When you reach the common room, the fire has died to coals. Callan stirs, but doesn't wake. You kneel by his side, heart still racing, and gently shake him. Wake up, you whisper. His eyes flutter open, dazed. I found something. It's real, Callan, all of it. He listens, half awake, as you recount the pages, the shifting name, the fire that eats not from above, but from inside. By the time you finish, he's fully awake, face pale, lips pressed tight. We need Liz, he says. You both find her in the astronomy tower. She's not surprised to see you. She's seated beneath a wide brass orrery, the stars mapped above her shifting slowly in a dome of magical illusion. You felt it, didn't you? She says without turning. Something opened. You hand her the book, and she reads in silence for a long moment. Then she closes it and says, "This isn't from the library." You frown. What do you mean? She stands slowly, holding the book away from herself like it might bite. It doesn't belong here. Not in Hogwarts. Not even in this time. That night, none of you sleep. You sit in the common room with the book between you. The fire now rekindled, but casting no warmth. Callan keeps glancing at the door. Lise paces, muttering things under her breath, words in languages you don't know. You feel a pull in your chest, as though the goblet's fire still smoulders behind your ribs. It didn't just show your name. It chose you, then retracted. But why? What kind of magic takes without leaving a mark, except in your memory? And worse, what if something followed your name back from wherever it was taken? You stare into the flames, and for a moment, they flicker blue again. Not fully, just a breath of color. But it's enough. The fire remembers you. And now, you remember it. The day begins not with light, but with steam, thick, swirling, and hot against your skin, rising from the ancient pipes beneath the castle that groan with the effort of warming centuries-old stones. Morning does not come gently today. It presses into the bones of the school with an unnatural heaviness, as though the tools themselves bear a secret too large to hold. The enchanted ceiling of the great hall shows clouds that hang low and swollen with unfallen rain. The scent in the air is strange, coppery, like blood, but softened with the sweetness of overripe apples and a hint of ozone, as if a storm is waiting just beyond the veil. You sit between Callan and Liz, the three of you silent, eyes scanning the hall for signs no one else seems to see. Subtle flickers in the torches, shadows that bend the wrong way. A slight echo when names are called at the head table. Breakfast is barely touched. Callan pokes at his eggs, distracted. And Lice pretends to read, but turns the same page twice without noticing. When the announcement comes, it cuts through the hum of students like a blade through silk. Professor McGonagall's voice is steady, but her eyes glance just briefly toward you as she speaks. The second task will begin in 3 days. Contestants are advised to prepare. Instructions will be delivered tomorrow morning. Murmurs erupt instantly. You hear Fleur's name and Crumb's, and that of a Ravenclaw 6th year named Eliot, whose hands always smell faintly of lavender and ink. But none of them matter, because you know you are not done with this tournament, no matter what the goblet decided, or pretended to. You slip away after breakfast. The castle seems to lean toward you, as if the very corridors anticipate your every turn. You don't wander so much as follow. The walls whisper, not in voices, but in memory, the kind of knowing that clings to old places. The path draws you downward, to the older levels, where the air grows colder and wetter, and the stones sweat with condensation. There's no reason you should end up in the baths, but you do. The door creaks open on its own, releasing a sigh of perfumed steam and the distant drip of water on tile. Inside, the candles float lazily, their flames warped by the moisture. The air smells of rose petals and minerals, of something earthy and wild. The water is still, rippling only when you breathe too close to its surface. You don't remember removing your shoes, but your feet are bare against the tile as you approach the edge of the pool. The runes etched into the marble shimmer faintly, unreadable but familiar, like the shapes of dreams just after waking. You crouch, staring into the depths, and this time you're not alone. A voice, not your own, not quite human, slips into the steam. It doesn't speak a language, not really, but you understand it all the same. It speaks of a name taken, of balance broken, of a fire that turned cold because something not meant to be touched was grasped. You see flashes in the water, the goblet burning white, a room made of salt and mirrors, and something clawing at the edge of a memory that isn't yours. You reach toward the water, but a hand catches yours. It's Lise. Her grip is tight, her eyes even tighter. "Don't touch it," she says, her voice hoarse. She's pale, lips drawn tight. It's not just water, it's memory. And you're not ready to remember everything yet. Behind her, Callan stumbles in, breathless. "There's something in the pipes," he says, moving. I swear I heard it whispering names, not out loud, in my head. You all leave together, the air clinging to your skin like silk. None of you speak until you're far from the baths. Even then, silence stretches, thick and uncomfortable, until Liz finally says, "There's a door in the dungeons, one that wasn't there before. I saw it yesterday, but I thought it was just a trick of the light." You know, before she says it, that it's waiting for you. That night, under the guise of studying in the library, you slip away again. Callan comes without question, his broken wand tucked into his robes like a talisman. Liz leads the way. The dungeons are darker than usual, and colder too. The torches flicker blue, not from enchantment, but from something else entirely. The scent of something old, hangs in the air, like damp parchment and rusted iron. You reach the corridor she spoke of, and there it is, a door that wasn't there yesterday or any other day before. It's made of dark wood, smooth and veined with silver that pulses like veins beneath skin. There's no handle, only a keyhole, and above it, the symbol from the book in the library. A flame, turning inward. Your hand moves before you think, a warm weight in your pocket. You reach in and pull out a small key. You don't know how it got there. It's iron, etched with faint runes, slightly warm to the touch. You glance at your friends. Callan's eyes are wide, but he nods. Lise doesn't move, only watches you with unreadable intensity. You slide the key into the lock, and it fits with the softest click. The door swings open. Inside, there's no room, only a stairwell spiraling downward, cut into stone that glows faintly from within, as if the earth itself has caught fire and chosen not to burn. The scent hits you immediately. Ash and lavender. The same scent from the dream, from the goblet, from yourself. You step in, Callan and Lise follow. The door closes behind you and the silence is complete. The steps descend forever, or so it feels. Each one you take echoes in slow, hollow rhythm, as though the staircase resents your presence. Each step a drumbeat against the ribs of something sleeping. The walls are carved from smooth obsidian, veined with veins of quiet fire. They don't give off light so much as drink in the shadows, reshaping them into strange patterns that twist and vanish if stared at too long. Callan walks behind you, his footsteps hesitant, and Lake just ahead, her hand trailing the wall, eyes sharp but not afraid. The silence here is not peaceful. It listens. It weighs your breath. The air is heavy with the scent of burning herbs and ink, and underneath it, something like old stone wet with sorrow. You don't know how far you've gone when the stairs finally end, but when your foot touches flat ground, you feel it in your bones. A soft tremor runs through the soles of your feet, as if the castle has a heart, and you've just stepped near it. You're in a chamber vast and circular, with a high domed ceiling that seems to vanish into smoke. At the center is a mirror, not the mirror of Erised, though for a moment your heart leaps at the thought. This one is darker, the glass opaque, its surface rippling as if water lies just beneath. The frame is wrought iron, twisted into flame-like spirals, and words are etched around the rim in a script that rearranges itself every time your eyes move across it. Beneath the mirror, in a circle of charred stone, sits a pedestal. Upon it, an unlit candle and a match. Lise stops just short of the circle, her voice low. This is it. This is where the name was taken. You glance at Callan, who clutches his wand, what's left of it, and stares at the mirror with a kind of dread you haven't seen on his face before. What do we do? He whispers. The candle, though unlit, hums with magic. You step closer, ignoring the whisper that curls through your thoughts, telling you to turn back. You strike the match. The flame hisses to life, trembling like a breath in winter. And when you light the candle, the flame flares blue, bright, cold, impossibly beautiful. The mirror stirs. Its surface flattens, darkens, then glows from within. A face forms, not yours, but not unfamiliar. It shifts. A child's face laughing, then older crying, then yours, half seen, a blur of who you are and who you could have been. Words form in your mind, not heard, not spoken but known. Name without name, flame without offering. You were not chosen, you were found. The mirror flashes, and you see a memory, not your own, but bound to you now. A room with blue fire, the goblet shaking violently, spitting out a name before the flames swallowed it whole. A name not written by hand, not placed in jest, a name stolen. The mirror shows you the hand that did it, a figure in shadows, face unseen, placing nothing into the goblet. And yet it takes. The fire changes, sputters blue. The name burns before the paper forms. You see your own expression, weeks ago, standing in that hall as the goblet sparked. No one else saw it. Only you felt the flame kiss your skin. Only you saw the paper turn to ash in reverse, as though time itself was rejecting what had never been offered. Behind you, Callan murmurs, "Why you?" It's not unkind. It's afraid. Lise answers before you can. Because something broke the rules, and rules always demand a price. The mirror changes again. You see yourself in the future, or a version of you, standing on the shore of the Black Lake, torch in hand, the water whispering a song in a language that makes your heart ache. Then another image. You, alone, in a great hall of stone, reaching out to a cloaked figure whose face is your own, yet not. Each vision is half-formed, like dreams upon waking. These are doors, Lise whispers, staring deep into the glass. And once opened, they can't be shut. You step back. The mirror ripples once more and stills. The flame of the candle dims. You look around and realize something has changed. There are markings on the walls now, runic, glowing softly, each one pulsing in time with your breath. One by one they begin to fade, as if a clock has begun to tick again. The mirror's magic retracts, folding in on itself, and the room grows colder. "We need to go," Callan says, "before it closes behind us." But Lise doesn't move. Her hand brushes the mirror's surface. "This isn't over," she says, almost to herself. "This isn't even the beginning." As you climb the stairs, the silence grows louder, like wind behind a sealed window. You can feel the castle reknitting its skin around the place you've just come from. The key in your pocket burns cold now, a weight against your leg. When you emerge into the corridor again, the door is gone. Just a blank wall remains, damp with condensation, as if the castle itself is sweating the memory out. You turn to your friends. Callan looks pale, his eyes haunted. Lise, as always, says nothing, but her jaw is clenched, and her fingers twitch like she's holding back a spell. Back in the common room, the fire greets you with a gentle hiss, but it feels less like home now, more like a watchful eye. You sit in silence. The candle from below, now in your pocket, does not burn, but you can feel its ember still alive, deep within. Callan eventually speaks. If someone put your name in, then they wanted you there, not as a joke, as a piece. Lise nods. A piece of something older than the tournament. You say nothing, but you know. You felt it, deep in the mirror's reflection. You weren't the fourth champion. You were the key. The lake is a dark mirror under the moon. It lies still, the ripples frozen under a breathless sky, as though the stars above refuse to stir the surface. The second task begins at dawn. But you are already there, standing at the water's edge in your cloak, boots wet with dew, and your hand clutching the piece of candle hidden in your pocket, like a charm against something you cannot name. You feel it pulsing still, faint, like a heartbeat buried beneath a mountain. Around you, the world is half asleep. The air smells of cold moss and iron, the hush of ancient magic coiled deep beneath the earth. Hogwarts watches from above, its windows dim and golden like half-lidded eyes. You do not remember waking. It was as though something pulled you forward. Leading you down hallways you no longer question. Callan and Liz had tried to stop you, but only with their silence. They knew this wasn't a path that could be blocked. It had to be walked. "If you go," Liz said, "don't forget who you are. That's how they take you." Her fingers brushed yours barely. "Not with curses, but forgetting." Callan gave you the broken half of his wand, just in case, he murmured. "It's stupid, I know, but maybe stupid things still help." The goblet stands at the center of the dock, where no dock should be. A dream placement. Unreal, yet utterly fixed. No flame burns within it now, but as you approach, the air around it shimmers faintly, like heat over stone. Professors mill in the distance, murmuring. Contestants prepare. Yet no one seems to notice you walking there. No eyes turn, no heads follow. It is as though you are a ghost among the living, or perhaps the only one truly awake. You step onto the dock, wood creaking softly beneath your feet. The goblet breathes, yes, breathes, and the water around it begins to glow faintly blue. You place the candle on the wooden slat before it, just as the wind stills completely. The wax flickers once in your hand. The match, when struck, makes no sound. But the flame catches instantly. It is not yellow or orange, but the same strange blue that burned in the mirror's vision. It sways, hypnotic, almost dancing. And then the goblet responds, not with fire, but with shadow. A great plume of ash-like smoke rises from within it, spiraling into a shape. A figure. No face, only outlines, like looking into smoke given thought. It turns toward you and you hear, not in your ears, but in the roots of your thoughts, a voice without breath. "You should not be," it says. "You do not move." "But I am," you answer. "And you wrote my name." There is a stillness. Then, "I did not write. I only opened the gate." The goblet flickers again. Now you see them. Flashes of memory, dream, time folding. The shadowed figure placing the non-existent slip into the fire. The goblet trembling. Your name forming not on paper, but in the air carved by will, not ink. "Why?" you ask. The question tastes like salt on your tongue. "Why me?" And the voice replies, "Because your name was forgotten, and names forgotten become doors." The meaning sinks like stone into still water. You were not chosen. You were remembered. Or perhaps awakened. Someone, something had found you in a moment of magic's weakness, a crack in the rules, and had written you into the world again, not with pen but with purpose. Then the water shatters. A sound like thunder underwater ripples out from beneath the goblet, and the surface of the lake splits. Figures rise from the depths, one by one. Not champions, not spirits, memories, versions of you, each of them bearing something different. A fear, a choice, a lie. One of them holds your childhood laughter. One cries with your mother's voice. Another holds a mirror and shows you standing alone on a path you never walked, in a forest you've never seen. They form a circle around you, and the voice says, to move forward, you must return what was borrowed. You understand. The magic isn't asking for power. It's asking for memory, for self. The parts of you that splintered when the name was taken. You step forward, and one by one, you gather them, not into yourself, but into the candle's flame. Each memory, each piece, burns not with destruction, but clarity, until the last image, the one of you watching the goblet blaze weeks ago, joins the others in fire. The candle burns steady, blue, calm, complete. The goblet changes, the blue shifts to white, a clear, searing light, and for the first time, the professors notice you. The students murmur. Dumbledore's voice cuts through the cold air. Stand back! But it's too late. The goblet erupts, not violently, but with a quiet that silences even the wind. The fire lifts and holds a single slip of parchment. No one moves. The parchment floats down, slow as a snowflake, and lands in your hand. It bears a single word. Your name, not stolen, not written by another, yours. You look up, across the crowd. Callan's eyes shine wet, wide with fear and something like hope. Liz watches, lips parted just slightly, as if seeing something she never believed. The crowd is silent, and then a voice from among them, a voice you don't recognize, calls, "The fifth champion." Dumbledore doesn't smile, but he nods. Later, when the second task begins for the others, you do not dive into the lake. That is not your task. Yours lies beneath stone and dream, in the mirror, in the room that no longer exists. Your trial was not to win. It was to return. And you have. You sit with Callan and Liz that evening by the fire. Callan leans on your shoulder without a word. His wand, broken, sits between you like a fragile branch waiting to bloom. Liz, at last, speaks. Magic doesn't forget, she says. Not really. It just waits for someone to remember. And you do. You remember your name. You remember why you were written. And finally, you remember who you are. The candle burns softly on the table. And for the first time since the goblet's fire called your name, you fall asleep, not with questions, but with peace. Thank you for joining tonight's story. Let its final embers settle softly in your thoughts, like snow resting on the windowsill of a quiet room. The fire has dimmed, and the halls of Hogwarts grow still once more, with only the soft hush of wind through ivy and the distant rustle of turning pages left awake. You've travelled far tonight, through enchanted corridors, shadowed memories, and quiet mirrors that remember your name. But now, there's nowhere else to go. Not yet. This is your time to rest, to let the warmth of the story wrap around you like a blanket, woven from candlelight and calm. As you close your eyes, let the images linger gently. Blue flames dancing, the echo of footfalls on stone, the reflection of yourself not just as you are, but as you've always been becoming. You are safe now. The story has returned you to yourself, whole and unwritten once more. Like fresh snow before the first step. Breathe deep. Let your breath slow like ripples on the lake, each one carrying you further into sleep's quiet harbor. You are not alone. You are never forgotten. The fire remembers, and so do we. Good night, traveler of stories. We'll meet again, in dreams, or perhaps in the next whisper of magic.